the High Priestess on Earth. Channeling the High Priestess.
Hello and welcome to the video blog about Isis. How you all doing? It's Easter Sunday here in Australia. So what else did I do? But hey, some channeling. So I'm just going to read off what I had written down last night. I do it in a trance state just before I go to bed, and then I write it all down and then I film it the next day. So here we go. Isis is the original mother. While she was in her temple in Sirius C, she was given a mission to birth Mu, with manifesting it in her womb. Just like the Mother Mary gave birth to the Immaculate Conception of Jesus, Isis was the Immaculate Conception of the female line here on Earth. She was the first entity to arrive from the stars during the very first visit. She came down with Osiris on the blue star alignment on Earth. Until then, it was a barren planet lacking life and energy. With each alignment since the birth of Mu, other entities have arrived. Her energy signal is the circle of 3, which I do have a little graph here, my lovely drawings, if you can see that pretty clearly. Okay, so the inner circle, which is spirit, soul, is the void. That's the golden age. That's also the resting period and the rejuvenation period. And it's also called the 30 days of darkness. Remember, in the darkness is all colors, so it's rainbows. So it's the time of the rainbow resting. The first circle, that's the child, the innocence, the maiden, that's the silver age. It's also the seahorse age when we're talking about the ley lines in Australia. Then you got the second circle there, which is the mother, the giver, the life, the woman. It's the iron age, and that is the serpent energy if you're talking ley lines. And then the outer circle, which is the crone, which is rebirth, which is the bronze, and that is the dragon line, ley line. Her energy signal, all of this, when it is spun around and turned into an energy frequency, turns into the spiral. And the spiral, as we've talked about before in Aussie's templates, is got to do with creation. Isis would do a lot of manifesting process while in her dreamtime states. She would wake up from a trance state with knowingness that what was needed to be done. In her temple on her own planet, she was helping to hold the highest priestess's energy for this planet. Some of the high priestess there that were trained by her and initiated by her were also sent to sacred temples in Egypt to anchor the energy frequency in there on Earth to create a link or a rainbow bridge. Isis said she held the umbilical cord and fed both planets with her heart center energy. These light beings, these high priestesses, were floating above ground in dark rooms with no stimulation from the outside world at all. They were connected straight to source through their crown chakra. A line of being would go straight up through the pyramids and out into the universe. That's why you get a lot of photos with the pyramid shooting out a beam from the capstone. It's not the energy of the pyramid itself, it's the energy from the high priestesses that are actually in it and doing the channeling work and sending it straight up back to their home planet. It's like the link from that temple of Isis to the temples down here. Not only to the human races were they sending energy, but to the temples and to the ley lines and to the 4 grids that are out there on Earth. There's the heart grid and conscious grid, and they're all connected to sacred geometry, of course, but also you got the full-on world grid. When all of those come in together, they create the world grid. I got told that 8 beings that hibernate from the heart center are always in these temples. There's always the 8, which is as above, so below, and the infinity energy. Their job was to not return home, but to hold their mission here in the temples and hold the energy through these different life cycles that we go through. And then when we had Atlantis fulfill, they were sent off to Mayan temples, and they were sent off to Egyptian temples. Well, they actually created the Egyptian temples before Atlantis fell. They both happened around the same era or same time. So there would be some of them in the Egyptian tombs, and there'd be some in the Atlantis tombs and some in Mayan tombs as well. People broke off away from Atlantis before they knew of the crash and the fall, or they had been guided to move, and they already started creating other civilizations out there. So some of them were priests and some of them were high priestesses who were called to go to this place, and again to hold the energy and anchor it all in. They would always return to new spots or power places to do their hibernation trance work. They wouldn't go to just any temple or any frequency. It had to be the right frequency and the right place and the right power for them. As I said, they were also spent some quality time at Tikal in a sacred chamber there, which is still hidden from most people today. It's in a remote part of the forest. Tikal means the place of spirits. And there's over 3,000 structures there. So to actually find where their light bodies of these priestesses or the residue of these priestesses be, you'd have to be really psychically switch on and coming completely from the heart to find these sacred structures. Temple 1 there is definitely known for its paranormal experiences. The signs that you get there would be wind picking up, knocking noises like masons or Mayans still doing all the stone work. Animals go very quiet. You get heat signatures, equipment failures, you get light flashes, you get shadow figures, you get crowd. You can hear the crowd and noise of games and of the squares, like the daily life of the Mayans there. You can also hear screams. You can get cold spots, heat spots, goosebumps and chills. You can get rocks thrown at you. You can get breathing sounds right next to your ear. Pyramid 4, which is also a very active area, it's known for showing up lights and enlightenment fractures or anomalies that will turn up in that temple. So it's very important if you're going to Tikal to connect in spiritually, and again completely come from the heart and ask for the spirits for permission to be there before you go to Temple 1 and Temple 4, because those two are so highly active. You really need full-on protection. Isis said a lot of people go there for the wonder and just to see the amazement of it all, but don't forget to ask permission. Isis has been there herself. Her footprints of energy are still there. The high priestess temples, the ones who would hibernate and hold the energy, are still very much present in residue there. So if you're a medium or working with Isis or working with Osiris or working with the Mayan energy, please ask for permission, do the right thing, and sit back and see what spirits want to come through and talk with you. Also, many priestesses were sent to Atlantis. Like I said, they worked in the crystal temples there, the temple of Isis there. Again, they were in charge of holding the earth's energy, and during the times of great growth in the Silver Age, again suspended in air, elevating but standing, not sitting, lost in a trance state, no interaction with any other beings. These entities are being brought in to lift the veil of separation and to anchor in the unity consciousness. For personally use, it's all about bringing back your ancient self, not only your ancient knowledge, but your memories. You are on earth at this point for a reason. The one is that the ones that are awakened are the ancient ones already here coming back, and the ones that are awakening are the wise old souls that are coming back. Remember your true essence of your higher self in total balance with the 3 rings of creation. So the child, the maiden, and the mother, and the crone, and of course with the guys, the boy, the man, and the old man. Don't forget to channel in those 3 rings and to work with the spiral of creation signature energy as well. And just to find the balance within yourself and how you use your spiritual tools to balance out Earth and to balance out yourself. So thank you for listening, and that was information from Isis. You have a wonderful Easter, and I will talk to you another time. Angel blessings. Bye.
Working with the High Priestess energy. I've made a little table out the back of my healing room that has all different kinds of shells, and I use the shells to help me connect with healing work and healing modalities and connecting in with the High Priestess energy. So it's another great tool you can use. Collect shells and give each High Priestess their own shell to use, and you can be called upon which shell you need to use for your client. Using the rainbow serpent energy, which we know is a modality or a symbol of actually healing and doctors and medicine. So you can tap into the energy of the High Priestess by using snake energy or rainbow serpent's energy to connect in there with the High Priestess as well, and to invoke them and ask them to come in to use that energy format for a form of healing. Of course, you can tap into Atlantis and the 3 rings of Atlantis, or the 3 civilizations of Atlantis, and call in the High Priestess from that time to come in and help you with any form of healings or channeling or meditation, or just to make a closer bond with the High Priestesses. Another great tool from Diane Cooper is the Atlantis cards. Great for connecting into each one of those cards and meditating with those cards, and it really helps you to concrete a really important bond with all of the High Priestesses from all over the lands and in Sirius C and A and B. So I really recommend her cards to help you connect to the High Priestess energy, to get to know them better. Having a crystal bowl with all different kinds of crystals, getting energized by the sun or the moon. I keep my one out in my yard under a pergola. They get a lot of rainwater that fills up this bowl, and I wash my face and clean my feet with the crystal water. Very good for cleansing, very good for purifying. I use it before I meditate to clear all of my energy fields and to tap me in closer into the High Goddess energy. Using the tarot cards, any form of tarot cards. Of course, number 2 in the tarot deck is the High Priestess. So working with tarots, or just working with that card on solo, and connecting into her energy by the number 2, or by the wings, or by any symbology that's on the cards. Anything that you're drawn to that stands out on the card can help you link in with the High Priestess. I've been drawn lately to make spirit rocks. So you could make one specifically designed for High Priestess, and you can hold it in your hands while you're meditating so you can connect in with their energy. or you can sit on it, or you can make a grid around you with the spirit rocks. These are the two I have made. One is for the High Priestess of Atlantis here on Earth, and the other one is for the High Priestess Temple, or the Temple of Isis, that's on Series C. Using your creative side, you can make up goddess prints. This one is a painting of a goddess face, and I call it the High Priestess. And all of those paintings there in the face itself are all done by tiny, minute little crystals. So the painting itself is very heavy and very large, and it contains so many crystals that help me connect in. If I place my back against this painting, I'm automatically drawn into the High Priestess energy. Or if I sit in front of it and just concentrate on the lips or the eyes or the nose or the skin, also helps me to connect in. So you're welcome to make up your own one, whatever you feel what a High Priestess looks like to you. Use your creative side to do that. Also, the ink, which is right next to it, also amplifies that painting for me, and it gives me a direct link in. So you're welcome to make your own ink as well. I love this picture, and it's a very common picture, and people said a lot. It wasn't a movie. I can't think of her name, Shirley MacLaine, with her spiritual movie, how she bought this for her lover for him to have up in his office. And it's been around a long time on the internet, but to me it is like the temple of Isis in Sirius C. It reminds me of all the High Priestess, and even that orb right in the middle is to me one of the High Priestesses. So I love meditating on this picture. I love having it around my house. It reminds me to connect in with their energy. I also work with the nature, and I put this plant in my yard, and I have a few of them around, and every time I see this beautiful pink fan out of colour, I sit next to it and I call in the High Priestess energy, and I can make essence from the dew of this plant that also helps me connect in with the High Priestess. Even knowing the location of Atlantis and connecting in there and connecting in onto the ley lines that go through Atlantis helps you connect in with the High Priestess. And if you're lucky enough to ever travel across it or to dive down to it, it would also be a fantastic way to connect with the High Priestess energy. But just connecting into the ley lines and seeing how all the ley lines connect to all the ancient spots around the world. You can then also connect into the High Priestesses that are in those special locations as well. Using mirrors with any kind of goddess figurine that you might have, or making your own goddess doll, but using mirrors to remind you to look into your shadow side and then your higher self side, and keeping them in balance with your feminine line. I have this in my bedroom, so at night when I go to sleep, I'm totally reminded of all the mirrors and the masks and the facades that we put up around ourselves for protection, but also to be aware of what masks we're wearing, and to sometimes to pull down those masks and just be our complete feminine, unique, beautiful, vibrant self. And even if you just do that in the privacy of your own bedroom and in your own space and in your own time, you can let those masks just come down. You can just truly be a free soul, vibrating your own wonderful energy. So Mirror work is also very important. You can use these little mirrors or your own mirrors and hold them and look into them. And what we do is called gazing. And you get drawn into the mirror, and sometimes you can see behind you spirits. But in this case, I use these mirrors, have programmed them just like a crystal. You can program mirrors, and I program them to look at the High Priestess. So when I'm looking into them, I will see different kinds of High Priestess standing at the back of me, and sometimes my own face shapeshifts into a High Priestess. So mirror work, if it's done correctly and done with psychic protection around you and knowing what you're doing with an experienced psychic, mirror work can be a great way to actually get visuals about High Priestess. Working with the pillars is also a great way. Having those generator crystals and putting them all around you. I suggest 12 generator crystals. I usually use clear quartz with a big point on the top, and I'll place them around me while I'm meditating, and it really draws me into temples and healing temples and High Priestess temples. And then they put up a little grid, an energy line around me that come off the top of these generators and almost put like a Merkaba around me. So it's really another great spiritual tool to help you connect in. To me, orchids, the smell of the orchids, the vibration of an orchid, the colours that are so vibrant with orchids, their gentleness, their innocence, their pure form is also a beautiful way to remind yourself about the High Priestesses. So I always have them in the room or near me when I'm connecting in and channeling with the High Priestess. They love the smell of them, and for some reason their smell, their vibration, it just calls them in straight away. It invokes all the High Priestesses to come around you. Using old magic and your own techniques of alchemy and things like that, and all the old healing modalities and anything that you're called to do, of course, is from the influence of the High Priestess. And they're basically just reminding you of the old knowledge. It's not new knowledge that they're giving you. They're now just enhancing all the old knowledge, but just bringing it back into the surface, bringing it back up into popularity. So they might seem like they're very new, like they keep flashing me right now, like the selenite swords that people are running the workshops with them at the moment and getting great results with these swords, actually comes from the High Priestess levels in the temples that are going around and using crystals and using other crystals and different forms of crystals and different shapes of crystals and different properties of crystals among their healing work. And it's almost like I see that movie with Superman, and he's in that crystal palace, and he pulls all the crystals out on like an altar and puts them in and puts them out, and then that turns the temple alive. Well, it's the same thing as what happens in a High Priestess temple. So I wonder, the person who made Superman and that scene was tapping into the High Priestess temples and High Priestess themselves, because it is so similar to that scene in the movie is to what I see psychically. And again, using the mirror work, here's another one in my backyard, and basically standing in front of it and invoking and asking and making a commitment to the High Priestess and helping them to come through and to work with you. Again, only asking for High Priestesses from the light. Get a name, ask them who they are, what they want from you, what you can do for them, and ask them to share their knowledge and their wisdom and their power and their energy with you. And always make sure you give them a token or a gift of love before you end the session, and they always give you a token or a gift of love back also. So it's a beautiful energy exchange when you do work with the High Priestess energy. Lately I've been experimenting with Hannah, and so doing any kind of forms or symbols on your body with using Hannah, and putting it around your third eye, or putting wings, or anything that looks like a High Priestess symbol or token. Using Hannah and putting that on your body is also another way to draw in their energy for acceptance and to show respect. Dressing up as a High Priestess is another nice way to help you to cement a closer bond. Having the symbols around you of High Priestess also draws them in and makes them feel comfortable. All tools that we forget to do because, you know, we think we're silly if we dress up like one. But who cares? Dress up as one and invoke them and have fun with it and enjoy yourself being in a different costume, in a different mask, in a different way, and just enjoy the experience. You can also make High Priestess dolls using fabric, using a toilet roll, using any dolls' faces that you might have around or that you can buy, and you can hold it in your hand and you can turn it into a rattle and shake it. You can bead it, you can put anything on it. It's just, you know, it's unlimited by your imagination, basically. But I call them the High Priestess dolls. And you can, again, can have them around you. You can ask them to come into the dolls. You can use it as a trigger object to bring them in. So they can be used in a lot of different ways to help you invoke the High Priestess energy. Having a little goddess area in your yard. This is mine, and sitting there and meditating here with the goddess energy and just honoring it and honoring the goddess within you and your three sides of the maiden and the mother and the crone. And so having a little altar in the garden by using nature and by using statues and by using colour can create your own little goddess area as well. Information on the High Priestess.